welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. First, to the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, holds a phone call with his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron, during which bilateral cooperation and other international fires are dealt with. Several draft bills related to boosting investment are examined during a cabinet meeting chaired by the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman. And the brilliant career of Algeria's former Foreign Minister Mohammed Sadiq bin Yahya is at the heart of a conference held on his 40th death anniversary. Algeria decides to increase its oil output by 11,000 barrels per day starting from next June, following the OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting. Good evening, those were today's headlines. First, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, held a phone call with the French President Emmanuel Macron, during which he congratulated him once again for his re-election as President of the Republic of France, and after which the French President thanked the President of the Republic for this lofty move. This phone call was also an opportunity to discuss the bilateral relations as well as ways and means for their consolidation on what benefits the two peoples. The two presidents then discussed the latest developments related to the regional and international issues of common interest. In other news, the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman chaired on Thursday a cabinet meeting held at the Government Palace. The gist of the meeting with Ines Killo.
Following the guidelines of the President of the Republic during the Council of Ministers on March 13th regarding the preparation of a new legislative text devoted to the promotion of investment, the government examined a draft bill related to this vital investment. This draft bill enshrines the principle of freedom of investment and initiative by integrating measures to simplify procedures for the benefit of investors. It also provides for the strengthening of prerogatives of supporting and facilitating the investment process. In addition, it focuses on the significant reduction of processing times for investment procedures from project leaders. This draft bill also provides for incentives for direct foreign investments that create jobs and guarantee technology transfer and allow Algeria to integrate international value chains. This draft bill will also be discussed during the Council of Ministers for more approval. On the other hand, the government assessed the presentation submitted by the Minister of Finance regarding the amendment of Ordinance number 0804 of September 1st, 2008, specifying the conditions of granting land concessions to the benefit of investment projects.
On the occasion of the 40th anniversary of the death of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, diplomat and war veteran Mohammed Sadiq bin Yahya, the Foreign Affairs Ministry organized a historic seminar chaired by the Foreign Minister Mtal Amamra and other prominent figures. The details with Melissa Kabash.
The event was marked by a documentary film produced by the Algerian television related to the itinerary of the late diplomat.
قبل أن يكون رجل الدولة.
He is a revolutionary man who contributed to the edification of Algeria. He dedicated his life to his country as a fighter, a war veteran, and a great negotiator during the November Revolution. A minute of silence was also observed, followed by live witnesses about the latest achievements and values. He contributed largely to the organization of the cultural and media sectors. He was the first to issue the basic laws for the Algerian media back at that time, alongside the laws of journalism. The late also encouraged the creation of some historic films, such as La Bataille d'Alger and Le Vent des Aurès. This summit coincides with the National Day of Memory, celebrated on May 8th of each year, and established by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. And today, we revive on this occasion the memory of the former Foreign Affairs Minister and more veteran Mohammed Siddiq bin Yahya. Mohammed Siddiq bin Yahya, a prominent historical figure who had a key role during our glorious November Revolution, especially with his negotiation skills aimed at resolving conflicts on both regional and international levels.
Mohammed bin Yahya, souvent demandé, parfois prescrit comme un médicament pour le dialogue.
Mohammed bin Yahya was a man of dialogue and the founder of the General Union of Algerian Muslim Students. The late left behind him a rich legacy and achievements that contributed largely in the strengthening of several sectors. The late bin Yahya will forever be engraved in the national memory alongside his achievements and sacrifices made for our country, Algeria.
In other news, the Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, took part in the proceedings of the 28th ministerial meeting, OPEC, non-OPEC countries, a meeting during which it gathered 23 countries that signed the Declaration of Cooperation. The Minister of Energy stressed that Algeria is going to increase its production capacity by 11,000 barrels per day to reach 1,024,000 barrels per day. Following this meeting, which was held via video conference, the Minister of Energy, Mohamed Arqab, made the following statement.
We decide to increase the oil output for the OPEC and non-OPEC countries by 432,000 barrels per day starting from next June. As for Algeria's increase, it will stand by 11,000 barrels a day. We discussed also the latest development taking place in the oil market.
Renewable energy is gaining more and more ground, as it is the case here in Algeria, more precisely in Borj Bouarerich province, where a farmer uses solar energy for his land's irrigation system. The details with Melissa Kebash.
Following the installation of solar panels in remote areas, Sadiq, like other inhabitants, no longer have to deal with the problem of electricity.
When I contacted Sonalgaz, they informed me that the electrical line was far away from my home. Therefore, I invested in solar panels.
Bashir, for his part, chose to adopt another system based on solar energy and nothing else to irrigate his agricultural land.
We use solar panels for irrigating our lands, hoping to generalize this method.
The agricultural sector wasn't the only field to benefit from this new system. The educational field did as well, as it is the case in this school that uses photovoltaic panels to lighten its classes. This technique isn't only beneficial for our environment, but could also preserve the safety of pupils. We look forward to generalize the use of solar energy, even in public spaces, which will cost less to municipalities. As we can notice, the use of solar energy is being more and more adopted across the national territory, which will not only preserve our environment, but reduces the energy cost as well.
In another context, the late artist Hazim was buried on Thursday in Oran province, where several artists were present to cast the glance and pay a vibrant tribute to this talented artist. In another development, and in Western Sahara, the U.S. human rights activist Ruth McDonough broke the media embargo imposed on the Sahrawi human rights activist Sultana Khaya. Ruth began a hunger strike to demand the release of Sultana Khaya, as well as all the human activists detained by the Makhzan. It is worth recalling that since November 19, 2019, Sultana Khaya and her family have been on house arrest. Moroccans have no intention to stop their protest movements, protests that keep denouncing the normalization of relations between Rabat and the Zionist entity, a real betrayal of the Palestinian cause. More details with Ines Kilou.
The Moroccans took to the streets once again in response to the call launched by the Moroccan Front in support of Palestine in several Moroccan cities to celebrate the International Day of Al-Quds held every last Friday of the blessed month of Ramadan and solidarity with the Palestinians. The call was followed by a day of anger, as it is the case here in Rabat, where the demonstrators waved the Palestinian flag and chanted slogans denouncing the normalization agreements signed between the Makhzen regime and the Zionist entity, a real shame agreement that keep angering the Moroccan people.
عدالة وقدسية قضية القدس وعلى همجية وعدوانية وإجرامية الكيان الصهيوني الغاصب ومعه كل منظومة الإمبريالية العالمية المتوحشة وكذا منظومات التطبيع والعمالة الخادمة لهما من داخل جسم الأمة حكومات ونخبا ودوائر عميلة للاستعمار. إنها ثنائية المشهد الذي يختزنه يوم القدس العالمي، مشهد الحق الشرعي الثابت والدائم الذي لن يسقط بالتقادم مهما تكالبت أجندات التصفية.
This year's celebration of the International Day of Al-Quds comes within a context of escalating of violence, provocation, and the almost daily Zionist aggressions against the Palestinians, seen as a real declaration of war against the Palestinian people for the Moroccan front in support of Palestinian people. Nothing can hide this brutal attacks and violence that has been perpetrated by the Zionist occupier with the complicity of its allies. The Moroccan demonstrators unveiled the Makhzen regime betrayal once again by its refusal to hold the meeting of Al-Quds Committee chaired by the Moroccan king, following the proposal made by Algeria to assume its responsibilities and face the serious violations committed by the Zionist entity against the Palestinian. The Moroccan Front in support of Palestine reiterates its commitment to continue its struggle against normalization with the Zionist entity and its expansion projects. It also voices its solidarity and unconditional support for the Palestinian people and for the liberation of the Palestinian territories and prisoners.
Moving on to sports now, with the first participation of the Algerian hockey team under the aegis of the International Relevant Association, marked by a precious victory over Andorra.
Reste concentré, reste concentré. On s'en fout du score. Joue sérieusement. Bon match.
And we wrap up our today's news with the unique and beautiful Qasr al-Wata or Al-Wata Castle located in Bashar province. This 6.5 centuries old national heritage, the restoration of which took quite some time, is now finally ready to welcome visitors. More details with Sabrin Tefergenit.
يا واد الساورة المعروف بالقصور وبراج مشيدة وعربان اللامة بالجودة والمتوك والهمة مشهور وفراسين الطعم ناسك زعامة عند خيار القنوس بالرجلة مذكور من يورد ماك ما تخصو القيامة.
Qasr al-Wata, located in Bashar province near to Al Sawra Valley, is indeed a unique legacy building which has been characterized in this region for centuries. Built about 6 centuries ago, this castle or qasr has suffered and was damaged by natural elements, time and men. But thanks to God and good people, it is still here standing. It is a telling evidence of the rich heritage of the region and the history of the Ghananma tribe who inhabited this qasr. After the restoration of this qasr, thanks to the initiative of the Association of Tourism and Heritage Conservation, the castle has become an essential stopover for tourists and a unique place for organized cultural events. We have 14 rooms with a capacity of more than 50 beds. We provide as well an installed tent for our visitors, a traditional coffee place, 2 bathrooms and a mosque. I call on the local authorities to give more consideration and attention to this qasr, since it is the unique monument in this whole region of Al-Wata. The qasr of Al-Wata has a great natural and cultural potential, which has become a great tourist destination once exploited appropriately.
And with that, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for joining us.